But talking about exporting, let's talk about what is an exporting company. Can you help define us what constitutes as an export company?
Yeah, this is really a very important question. As I mentioned, EDC is unique in that we're mandate driven, and so in order to be able to access many of our programs, you have to be considered to be an exporter. And so the good news is that we have I would say, an elastic definition of how we define an exporter. And I think the most obvious example is if you yourself are a Canadian company that derives revenues directly from outside of Canada, then you would be considered a direct exporter, which is probably the most common type of exporter. But let's say that you're a company that doesn't derive revenue directly from outside of Canada. You, in fact, derive all your revenue from inside of Canada, but your product or service is an input in another company's product where that other company themselves would sell the majority of their products to companies outside of Canada. In this case, you would be considered to be an indirect exporter, and then you would be able to access EDC programs through that indirect exporter piece. Lastly, if you're not a direct exporter, you're not an indirect exporter, but you find yourself in a position that you want to diversify your sales outside of Canada sometime in the next 12 to 24 months, and you have a business plan that formulates that idea, then you could potentially be considered as a future exporter or an exporter. And so through that mechanism, you would be able to potentially utilize our programs. I would say that the most important thing to really keep in mind is that you should not self-censor yourself. Don't assume that you're not an exporter. I would say reach out to your EDC representative, build a relationship with them just like you would have built a relationship with your banker or your accountant. And in areas of opportunity or in areas where your company is going through any obstacles, have conversations with your EDC representative to see if any of our programs would be suitable.